And we are live. Hello and welcome to Grace Westminster live stream. We are in the trenches of some construction works that are happening outside of the shop. Hope you can hear us okay. Please let us know how is the audio and the video quality straight away, because the noise, I don't know if you can hear it, but the windows are closed, everything is closed, but it's just super noisy. So it's constant here. We have Gray himself. How are you?
Really well, thanks, Kon. Really well. Great to see you all on. It's a very sunny day in London. I hope the sun is shining on you as we open up another Friday Fandango.
Absolutely. What are your plans for weekend? Sun bath?
What?
Sun bath?
Samba?
Yeah.
No, that hadn't crossed my mind, really. No. I actually have no plans for the weekend whatsoever yet. Yeah. But I'll give it some thought, because it is the long weekend, isn't it?
That's right. I'm going straight to the beach.
Are you?
Put my trunks on, ready for a swim?
Yes. Don't frighten the natives.
All right. The audio is 4. Well, that's better than 0. And the video is 5. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone in the chat. We got John Hughes, Mike Fuller, Christopher Clark, Colin Murphy, Kirill Grushko, John Rayleigh, Rich Hovland, David Fijo, Rick Getty, Simon Ma, David Drage, Andy Hater, All the High Angler, Ian Mooson, Eric Laura, Michael Reed, Roy Bixby. Everyone is here. So it's pop culture, it's Nikon in a pop culture. So we're going to show you some of the images of Nikon cameras being used by the people in the pop culture. So either, let's say, actors or singers or just, famous people really. But if you have any suggestions that we missed something, and we definitely missed something because Nikon is a famous brand. So do let us know in the comments below. And where did you want to start, Gray?
Well, by way of reference, in my own particular case, it was watching Antonioni's famous film Blow Up in the 60s. That thank you. In the 60s, that focused on the story of a young fashion photographer played by David Hemmings. That was shooting with Nikon, shooting with Hasselblad. There were beautiful models. There was music from the Yardbirds, and with Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page, who would then go on to become even more famous. Jimmy Page, of course, with Led Zeppelin, and Jeff Beck, of course, for a hugely influential solo career. But it was that I thought, I'd love to do photography, because I was already keen anyway, but that was what drove me towards being interested in Nikon, because it was the Ne Plus Ultra of cameras.
Is that the original Nikon F?
Yes.
Don't you think that original plain prism Nikon F is the most beautiful camera ever?
Absolutely, without a doubt. It's that Kamakura design, which had that lovely pyramid rather than a rounded top, that has made it, to me, still the most iconic of the 35mm single-lens reflexes.
Absolutely. It's so noisy here, so I feel like we both have to have headphones, like on a proper podcast, so we can hear each other. But if you hear me shouting into the microphone, it's just because I can't hear Gray, and probably Gray can't hear me either. But absolutely, I think, is Blow Up your favorite movie of all time?
No, it's not, because it was the most influential of me when I was in my teens. But honestly, if you went for a list of my favorite movies of all time, we'd be here all day, really. But it's up there as the most influential on my photography career, really. And because also I went on to do rock music photography.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at the comments. So Simon Ma is asking what Nikon was used in a movie called Civil War, which is a very recent movie, which came out, I think, either early this year or last year. We're going to go back to that. I do have a screen of that in my folder, which I also prepared. And then David, the drunk Wayne photographer, is also mentioning Jurassic Park, The Lost World. There was Nikon using there. I also have a screenshot of that. We'll come back to that later on. What other movies do you have prepared for us, Gray?
Okay, well, why don't we pull out? What have we got there? Let me just have a look.
Oh, I've got plenty to choose from.
All right, why don't we?
We're going to go for this one. Okay. Yeah. So tell us all about this. I'm just going to switch that. So I will ask you who those people are, because some of them I know, some of them I don't. So if you can be kind and just tell me.
Yeah. Okay. So the gentleman on the left is James Dean.
Okay, I know this guy. Yeah.
Rebel Without a Cause, etc. And the person on the right is the great Sammy Davis Jr.
That's right.
It's these photographs were sent to me by Robert Rotoloni, who until recently ran the Nikon Historical Society and has written the most amazing book on the Nikon rangefinders, his magnum opus. But he very kindly sent me these images. A lot of these I've never seen before. Certainly not this one of James Dean and Sammy Davis Jr. I've never seen it.
Do you think he's using the macro lens in there?
Yes. I think even if it was a macro lens, it wouldn't really work.
I would really love to see the negative of that shot that was taken. Let's look at some comments in the chat here. And thank you very much, Kirill, who says, thanks for reminding me about Blow Up. I saw it in the movie theater about 10 years ago, and it was a total blast. Nick Harrison saying, I was in the park where Blow Up was filmed last Friday, so was unable to join the stream. Marion Park, judging for Green Flag Award.
Yeah.
So what camera is it he using there?
Let me see if I can...
Let's see if we can...
It looks to me...
It's one of the Nikon S's, isn't it?
It's an S, yeah. I would think it's I think it's a Nikon S.
One of the Nikon S.
It doesn't seem to have the lever wind. It still seems to have the knob wind. So that would put it in very much in the S category.
David Muscori says, I was born the day and year James Dean died. Well, when one life ends, another one starts, isn't it?
Yes, indeed, yeah.
What else have you got for us, Gray?
Well, what about this one here?
Okay.
This is This is Gina Lollobrigida, and she was an Italian actress, model, photojournalist, sculptor, and one of the most highest profile European actresses of the 50s and 60s. She was an international sex symbol, dubbed the most beautiful woman in the world. And she was really one of the last surviving members of the high-profile international stars of that golden age of Hollywood. In that shot, she's using a Nikon F, but she's fitted to it a 180mm rangefinder lens onto the NF adapter. So the Nikon rangefinder system also developed a reflex housing of which you could put 180, 250, 500 and 1000mm 6.3.
Incredible.
But she seemed to favor that one. I've got quite a lot of shots of her. And she had a second career really as a photojournalist, and she achieved a scoop in the 70s, getting access to Fidel Castro for an exclusive interview. I mean, she photographed a lot of people, Salvador Dali, Kissinger, David Cassidy, Audrey Hepburn, Paul Newman, Ella Fitzgerald, and people of that nature. But she was a serious photographer. I've got another shot of her sort of sitting in her home, and she's got Hasselblad 500 ELM.
Oh, wow.
She's got loads of lenses and backs and Nikons. And
so she was quite a keen photographer.
Very keen, yeah.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at your comments and see if you have any other movie recommendations here. Let's have a look. Quickly scrolling down. I think we're going to caught up on this. So Andy Haight is saying Nikon in We Were Soldiers played a prominent prop in the movie. And then G Papa 31 says Kubrick's photo with his daughter and Nicholson in the set of The Shining was very influential to me. The following his filmmaking and photography career was the cherry on the top.
Oh, yes. Well, Mr. Kubrick did have a lot of stuff, and in fact, it was Mr. Kubrick who gave me my first sort of break, and we'd been dealing with him by telephone for a couple of years without knowing who he was. It was just two chaps. Oh, lovely. The noise has started again.
Well, we're going to talk about Apocalypse Now at some point. So the kind of the sound theme is going to be quite great. But it reminds me, and I'm glad you asked about Stanley Kubrick, but Space Odyssey.
Yes.
The famous lens that been used. HAL, yes. Yeah. So what lens was it?
I think I'm right in thinking this. Someone are bound to correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was a 7.5 millimeter fisheye Nikon for HAL with a red light behind it.
Let's have a look. If I'll try to get that screen on top in a second. But yes, it is definitely a very influential. And he used to buy a lot of different lenses and test them and see what he liked, didn't he?
That's true. And in fact, in Full Metal Jacket, Matthew Modine has got a bunch of Nikons around his neck.
That's
and
right.
Those are all Mr. Kubrick's, of which I serviced for him on a number of occasions.
That's incredible. What else have you got for us, Gray?
Oh, okay. Let's have a look. Who have we got here? Well, that one.
Here we go. Put it up. Okay. Should be up and running. Takes a little bit longer, but hopefully it should be up. Yeah, it should be up. We're in slightly delayed, but it should be up there.
All right. Well, this is Sammy Davis Jr. Shooting with a Nikon S2, which was the first of the full-frame Nikon rangefinder cameras, and first with 1,000th of a second, first with a lever wind, and probably the beginning of their very successful export program to, particularly to the US. And Sammy Davis Jr. was a very keen photographer. He used Nikon Fs. He's got, I think, a 135 plus. He's got the optical finder for it.
That's a beautiful camera, first of all. And yeah, using rangefinder with the long lenses, it's not easy, isn't it?
No, well, it isn't with anyone, whether it's that or with Leica or anything.
That's right. So you pre-focus in the actual viewfinder, line up the patches, and then you'll look at the external viewfinder just to frame the image, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. Well, certainly in his case they did, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, let's look at more of your comments here. So Randall Brando, thank you very much. He says Rear Window with James Stewart and Grace Kelly.
Yes, well, that was an Exacta Varex model. It was so we're just really concentrating on Nikon. But I do know what you mean. I always felt a little that he wouldn't have used that camera. He would most likely have used a Nikon F if the period had been reflected properly.
Absolutely. There's a Craig C says Secret Life of Meaty. Sean Penn in that. f/0.7 lens, not 0.7.
Oh, that's a Canon.
That's a Canon one.
Yeah, that was called the Dream lens. Oh no, that was a 0.95.
0.95. So Roy, there's no 0.7, so probably a Canon one then. All right, so we are buffering slightly. I wonder if it's because of the road works outside, but hopefully we are coming back. let's go further. Yes, construction hit the cable. That's what it looks like. It's not 3 o'clock, Simon, but yes, it's getting there. Thank you, by the way, everyone, for submitting your images for my hometown photography challenge. If I haven't replied to you, I will. But thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Jay Blue, as well, who is at graduation ceremony today. So thank you very much. We will do the challenge next week. The last submission day is Wednesday, and next Friday live stream it will be me and probably one more colleagues who will join me, and we'll show all your submissions in the on the live stream. Let's have a look. Ronald Brandy says, in the film The Bridges of Madison County, Clint Eastwood, who plays the character of Robert Kincaid, uses a Nikon F camera with S36 drive. Meryl Streep.
Yes, I'm very familiar. I was very much involved at that time, and courtesy of Stanley Kubrick, I was invited to the UK premiere, and Mr. Eastwood came out and spoke to us, and you're quite right. He was using a Nikon F. In fact, I think on that shelf over there,
yes,
probably that second shelf up, there's a Nikon, there's the Bridges of Madison County book. Go along there, can you see it?
I can't see it.
Go one up. Not there?
I can't see it.
Oh, okay. That's
Right,
okay.
next time.
Yeah.
Next time we'll have it.
Yeah.
Roy Beef says Kubrick's f/0.7 lenses were Zeiss lenses. Okay, that's interesting to know. And Mizi is saying, I know that Kubrick bought a 50mm f/0.7 Zeiss lens from NASA that was designed to be used on the Apollo moon mission to shoot indoor scenes in his film Barry Lyndon. Interesting.
Yeah, because he was using the Michelson cameras, wasn't he, on Barry Lyndon? In fact, I spoke to him about that film because he shot in either daylight or candlelight, and had that fantastic soundtrack by the Chieftains, the Women of Ireland.
That's very interesting. So
Yeah.
Kirill Grushko is asking, I wonder if Annie Leibovitz used Nikon in general, and in particular to her famous album cover shots.
Do you know? I don't know. One of our friends, Felix Kunz, assisted her for a while, but I don't think she was using Nikon at the time. I think she was using mostly medium format.
Yes, I have a friend who works for her for the last 10 years, and he says that she used D800s and D850s on the shoot. He shoots mainly with Hasselblads.
Is that right?
Yeah, she doesn't like Fuji JFX system for the color reproduction, which is interesting because...
She does or she doesn't?
No, she doesn't use Fuji. She doesn't like the color science, which I know that a lot of people in the chat and just photographers say that color science of Fuji is quite interesting. She actually doesn't like it. She prefers Hasselblad. But those are kind of little tidbits. But she's not particularly, let's say, loyal to any brand. She generally chooses the camera for specific shoots. So, but yes, D850s were in a rotation, as far as I know. Okay, let's have a look further. What else do we have here, Gray?
Oh, well, let's go for... Where is it? Oh, let's go for this one. I love this
one. Oh, I know this gentleman. The one and only.
Yeah.
The king of rock and roll. It's up there, Gray.
It is?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a photograph, as you can clearly see, of Elvis Presley shooting with a Nikon SP, which was the zenith of their achievements in the rangefinder system. And my favorite of all the Nikon rangefinders, that I think, and the S2 I've got a particular affection for. You can always tell it's an SP because it has that elongated window at the on the front, but I think it's just such a great shot of him. And look at that quiff.
There's a lot of work went into that. We bought some Nikon S's very recently, Gray. Tell me about them. They were quite quite beautiful.
Yes. Well, we just acquired a Nikon SP black limited edition with a 3.5 centimeter 1.8 lens, again in black. It was part of a small consignment of them that were made and only for sale in Japan. And the other day we acquired a brand new one that had never been touched. It had all its papers. It had its warranty card, in Japanese, of course, all those things. It was double boxed.
The cover behind the shutter, isn't it?
Yeah, the shutter protecting cover, and it was. We haven't had that many. I think this is the second or third I've ever been able to acquire, because they sold out very quickly in Japan, and as I mentioned, never ever exported, which was a great shame, really.
That's right. That's right. Those are beautiful cameras, and yeah, they're quite rare in black as well.
Yeah. And there's a possibility that we might be getting a black S3 reproduction.
Those are even more rare.
The similar thing, only for sale over there.
Because the Chrome S3s, the year 2000 edition, were quite, well, not common, but still limited edition, but they definitely...
They were limited to how many they sold or could sell. Yeah.
Incredible. So Rick Gates says, I love the SP. Andy Hater says, hit the like button. We really appreciate it. And we also would like to say thank you to Shoot Prime One for a coffee fund contribution. Thank you very much.
Very much. Much needed, I have to say.
Today is water. It's clear, but it's not 40% strong. All right. What else do you have for us, Gray?
Oh, no, there's one I was just thinking of here. Let me just see. Where's it gone? Oh, yeah. Let's have a look at that one below Marilyn.
Okay. Yeah, it's up.
Okay. So this is Roger Moore in the centre.
Mr. Bond.
Mr. James Bond, yes. And he's looking at a Nikon F2 that was used in the film that had some specials, of course, as James Bond is known for having all these fancy gadgets. And this particular one was made for, or was altered, I should say, by Mike Allen, who used to run Fixation for many years until his retirement. The person to his right in the dark jacket is Mr. Harry Collins, who founded Nikon UK and way back when, and sadly passed away last year, and was the person who helped me set up becoming a Nikon only dealer, a very influential brand. And I think the other gentleman is the only rep they had, which was, I think his name was Robin George. And I think that's just a great behind-the-scenes shot with the very suave and likable Roger Moore.
Who's your favorite Bond, Gray?
Oh, Daniel Craig. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's either antenna or very tall, soft shutter release button.
That's right.
Okay. Who else do you have for us, Gray?
Oh, let's see. What have we got there? One above Elvis.
Here we go. Should be up and running. We're late a little bit, but it's up there.
Well, this, of course, is John Wayne. Obviously making a Western. Not sure which one it was, but he was, because he's shooting a Nikon F, one assumes that it was filmed in the 60s somewhere, but he's obviously sitting on the camera looking like that. Again, another shot that I've never seen before, and I'm very grateful to Bob Rotoloni for sending it to me.
Yes, it's going to get there. It's as usual, it's delayed, but it should be up there.
Right.
As far as we know. we see each other delayed. That's the thing, but it is up there, absolutely. All right.
Okay. Where are we now? Let's look at that one.
Let's have a look at this one. So it's up there. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So this is the wonderful David Douglas Duncan, who we've spoken about on many occasions in the past. And here he is. This is with a plaque given to him by Nikon because of how influential he was and in getting Nikon popular around the world, particularly in the United States, and it spread everywhere. And Nikon, to thank him, produced for him the 200,000th Nikon F, and there he is with the camera, with the with the plaque, and it's a great shot of Duncan, and he stayed with Nikon for the rest of his professional life, really, and I mean his writing also was exceptional. You know, he's a bit like there's one or two photographers. One I'll talk towards the end of this this broadcast is to me he was a poet with a camera.
Indeed.
Yankee nomad. He's worked with Picasso, and he wrote me a lovely letter from the south of France once, and he also signed or inscribed a book to me called My 20th Century to celebrate one of our big Grays of Westminster anniversaries, and it's a very proud possession to have. And in fact, our good friend Joe McNally and I and Kon, I know, are big fans of Duncan.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's look at your comments. Randall Brandy saying silence is gold and maybe the construction workers have gone home.
Yeah. Well, if we all concentrate enough, their machinery won't work and they'll decide, well, I mean, it's 1:45, so it should be time to go home.
I mean, let's be honest, if you ever been in UK and you know the construction works, all the builders, they have to have a cup of tea every 5 minutes. You know, they can't start the work without having a cup of tea. So they are having a little break now every 5 minutes. Colin Murphy says, let me know when the S3 comes in. I'm interested. All right, we'll keep an eye on this. And CB just picked up a Nikon F a couple of weeks ago. It has a photomic head. Everything seems to be working, but I'm sure it needs servicing. I wonder if any famous people ever used it. Haha. So Clint Eastwood, right? He had Nikon photomic on one of the shots of Nikon Owner magazine that you have, isn't it? No, it
was a plain prism.
It was still a plain prism.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a plain prism, and he was, I think he was using sort of FMs and FM2s at the time.
I see.
And also there is a scene in The Bridge of Madison County where after his character dies in it, Meryl Streep is going through his stuff, and she opens up this box, and inside is the Nikon F, but there's also Nikon rangefinder equipment in there as well.
It reminds me, I need to write a letter to my wife. So when I ever die, she gets this letter, and they're real prices actually of the equipment I have.
You have no idea how many times I've heard that.
Because every time she's like, how much is that? I was like, oh, it was just £100, you know. So this Z8 was £100.
Yeah, she's not watching this.
Well, that's the thing, because I don't want her to come to a second-hand shop and then, you know, they'll say, no, it was £100. We'll pay you that. So, you know, we need to put the real prices there. Champagne Suma says, Michael Caine should sneak in. Very interesting. Ronald Pollard is in the chat. Good to see you, Ronald.
Ronald Pollard?
Yes.
Ronald, greetings, sir.
Well, he says, great. Thanks for being a Nikon Smithsonian of our community.
Well, that's very generous tribute. Thank you very much.
Craig C says, I'd really love to rebuild my old F3 HP setup, even if it's just for nostalgia. And who knows, maybe I'll run some film through it again. Man, I barely remember the lenses I used back then. What else do you have for us, Craig?
Oh, let me put my specs back on. Let's have a look. Oh, this one.
This one?
Yeah.
All right, let's put it up. Should be up there. I'm not familiar. I'm sure I'll know the names, but I don't know who those people are. Tell me a little bit about them.
You don't know who they are?
Once you tell me the name, I'll say, ah.
Okay.
But now I don't.
So the person with the blonde hair is Robert Plant,
okay,
lead singer of Led Zeppelin.
All right.
And the person opposite him is Jimmy Page, the legendary guitarist with Led Zeppelin, and both shooting with Nikon cameras there. Again, this is another shot I knew nothing about. And I wish I had, because when I was living in Kew many years ago, and I was touring with Robin Williamson of the Incredible String Band, when he was staying there, Robert Plant often would ring up to chat to Robin. And had I known that he'd been shooting with Nikon, I would have interrogated him a bit more. But what a remarkable career they've had. And I understand they're reforming.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I can clearly see that they're not just having fine taste in music, they also have fine taste in cameras.
They do. Yeah, they do.
Who else do you have for us, Gray?
All right. So what have we got there?
I mean, since we're now going towards music.
Yes. Oh, what about...
this gentleman?
Yeah.
I know this gentleman.
Yeah. Well, why don't you talk to us about it? Because you're a football buff.
He's not a musician, obviously. He's one of probably the most famous footballer in the world. And if, let's say, I didn't grow up watching him play, obviously I know Pelé. And it's interesting that when I was growing up, we always had a coffee called Pelé.
Really?
I don't know why, but obviously it's a very interesting thing. We also have another sportsman, and who is featured on the cover of this video, Muhammad Ali.
Yes, yeah, I know. I didn't know that he was using Nikon. So he's got a Nikon, a very early F atomic, fitted on an F36 motor drive, and I'm not quite certain what the lens is. It looks like a 200mm f4 to me.
That's right. I mean, speaking of sportsmen, I have Usain Bolt here as well. That's a famous shot at the Olympics, London Olympics. I think he's holding the D3, if I'm not mistaken.
So this would have been 2012?
2012, yeah, absolutely. And then I have more sportsmen here. I have Michael Olise from Crystal Palace.
Who's that?
He's a footballer. He's a current footballer. He's playing now for Bayern Munich.
All right.
He is holding one of the staff photographers. I think it's a D5, if I'm not mistaken, with the SB800. And I also have a shot of Martin Odegaard from Arsenal, which I'll later put on. And again, with the Nikon camera in there. So just a bit of pop culture there. Now, let's go to some other shots here.
All right.
Here we go. Who else do we have here?
George Harrison.
I know this gentleman.
Yeah.
Do you know when did this happen? Looks like a horse race or something.
Well, it's in early 60s. I think he's got, let's have a look. So he's got a Nikon F.
That's right.
He's got a Rolleiflex, looks like a 2.8 F. And that other camera, to me, looks like a Kodak.
One of the Kodak ones.
Maybe one of the Retina, but... I think they were all quite keen on it. McCartney, I know, was. McCartney's brother, Michael McCartney, or as he was known, he changed his name to Mike McGear.
All right.
For his musical career with Scaffold. He's quite keen photography. But George obviously was a keen photographer.
All right, let's go to the comments here. So we got Kirill Grushko says Tom Waits, while Roger Waters, Robert Plant, who shoots with Nikon. Reimer says, I often use my F2 with serial number 7114320. Champagne Storm says, I miss Kodachrome. And Eric Laurie says, yes, Odegaard from Arsenal had a Nikon Z9 at the end of... Oh, it disappeared, Eric. I was just reading it. You've deleted it. It was a Nikon camera. I'll get to it. Z9 at the end of March, a year or so ago. Okay. Who else do you have
Oh,
here?
I
Great.
know. There's one there where are we? Let's try that one there.
That one? Okay. Mr. Dylan. That's which one is it? Is it Nikon SP?
Yep.
Again, that's a beautiful one. I'm just gonna try to see if I can find it. Shot of Odegaard that I saved, but I won't be able to find it now. Okay, well, that's not the end of the world. I was trying to find Gray. We're gonna go to Sean Penn at Walter Mitty movie, who is holding Nikon F3T here. I was trying to find recent movies with Nikon cameras in there, and I think the most recent one, obviously, it's a Civil War movie which just came out fairly recently, and that's the shot from there. Very interesting movie, and obviously, you know, the whole topic of Civil War is one thing, but from photographic point of view, obviously, so the main character of the movie, young photographers using Nikon FM, I think FM3A camera, if I'm not mistaken. There, let's have a look together. And yes, the other main character was using Sony cameras, and it was just an interesting dynamic of obviously seasonal photography and young photography and what they choose as a subject to photograph. There's a scene there of a young photographer developing a film, sitting on a stadium in some shelter, which was quite interesting to me. But also, the only case of Nikon Z cameras being used was in one of those HBO shows with Kate Winslet. I think it's called Mayor of Easttown, and it's a detective show similar to True Detective. And she's photographing the crime scenes with a Nikon Z camera. Speaking of crime scenes, our favorite serial killer, his name is Dexter. He was using Nikon DSLRs, and on this particular shot, I think he's using the Nikon ring flash system. It's not a true ring flash. It's got two SR2 units. I think it's what we call R1C1 kit, if I'm not mistaken.
The R1C1s, yeah.
Which would include SU800 infrared trigger and then two SR200 units. We've sold quite a few cameras to the police, didn't we, back in the day?
Yeah, we did. Also, Ministry of Defence.
Ministry of Defence?
Yeah, they wanted to acquire a bunch of the Nikon AWAF compact underwater cameras or amphibious cameras, and they'd long been discontinued. But I managed to find a dozen brand new ones from David Leon, who had a big Canon shop in Ilford, in Goodmayes in Ilford, Essex. And if you couldn't find anything anywhere, you'd ring up him and he would always say, oh, no, who wants to buy that? And he would then call back and say, I only got a dozen.
Remember was it Nikon FM or FM2 half-frame camera? Did that one also come from the police?
Well, that was made for, I believe, the Swedish police for traffic photographing. And the half-frame FM2, very, very rare, extremely rare. We've covered it in Nikon Owner magazine on the Tony Hurst column. That's
right. We only had one throughout the whole history, isn't it?
The only single lens reflex, of course, they did a rangefinder, the S3M.
Beautiful. Obviously, who was it? David, the drunk radio photographer, mentioned Jurassic World or Jurassic Park movie. There's a Nikon F5 in there.
Yeah, and I think Jason Statham was using a DF in one of the Mechanic films.
Oh, I see. That's quite interesting. I don't know if you watched the show called The Wire, which is...
I never saw that series, no.
It's one of those cult shows. You got to watch it. But yes, Clay Davis, one of the characters, he's using Nikon F4 in one of the shots here. Who else do I have? There's a Brazilian movie which is quite classic. It's called The City of God, about a young teenager photographing gang wars in the favelas in Rio, and he's using, well, it looks like it's a Nikon. It could be F2 Photomic, it could be Nikon F Photomic, isn't it? Let's have a look together.
What do you say?
As a true reporter, he has the logo covered in tape, as you do. It's not exactly Leica, but it looks like...
That's a Nikon F.
That's an F atomic, isn't it?
I think so, because he's got all that black masking tape.
That's right.
But it does... It kind of has the shape of an F, doesn't it? I might be wrong, but it seems to...
It looks like one.
Yeah.
I think so. I think so. Who else do I have to show you, Gray? See, I came prepared as well.
You did. I'm impressed.
All right.
Here's one that you...
Mr. McCartney, let's have a look. When did this happen?
Well, judging by his youth in the very early 60s, I should think just as the Beatles became the sensations that they were. And he's shooting with a Nikon rangefinder.
Speaking of celebrities, we also have Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, yeah. I love that shot.
That's one of the classic shots, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know the story behind it?
No. Do you?
No, but it would be interesting to find out. Maybe some of you in the chat will tell us all about it. All right, let's go through the chat, see more of your comments. Champagne Summer, Mrs. Kodachrome, me too. I never shot one, but I love the colors.
What Kodachrome too?
Yeah, Kodachrome.
Yeah.
Can't develop it nowadays as well because it's not C41 process, isn't it? Something else. So yeah, I mean, if Kodak can bring Kodachrome, that would be absolutely amazing. Eric Laurie says, what about Nick Nolte? He has a Nikon in one of his films.
Oh, Nick Nolte?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. I think that's a film where I believe he plays a sort of war photographer in that. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. He was using Nikons. And they've been in so many of those Vietnam films as well.
That's true. That's true. Well, Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the famous shot. For some reason, I thought I had it, but it's clearly not there for some reason. I did save it.
Oh, there's a nice one. Sidney Poitier.
All right. Let's have a look. I'm going to try to see. Here we go. I'm going to add some more. Here we go. Apocalypse Now.
All right. Have we got Margaret Burke-White? I thought I'd sent them.
Let's have a look.
Should be just under white.
Doesn't look like Gray.
No.
Nope.
Oh, Sonny and Cher.
Got Sonny and Cher. Let's show that.
In rather bright clothes. Yeah.
I assume it's London, isn't it?
It's shot in London, probably around the time of I Got You, Babe, and their sort of breakthrough international hits.
It almost looks like an album cover in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got Austin Powers here. He likes big lenses, don't he?
Who's that?
Austin Powers.
Yes.
Mike Myers. I mean, there's quite a few of them, but yes, I was thinking to put, to do a cover on those where we put our faces on famous characters.
Absolutely, and there's a series. Probably it's the longest running, one of the longest running police procedural films is NCIS.
That's right.
Series, and every episode they're only ever using Nikon. The only thing that used to kind of slightly irritate me is when the flashes went off, it was like a gun going off, and it wasn't the sound of a shutter at all. But it was just an effect.
It was in one of the articles that I've done when I was preparing for that they weren't actually using the shutter sounds.
No,
those would normally we would put in the post. Probably a person that wouldn't use cameras themselves. One of the recent shows that Nikon cameras been used is Better Call Saul, which is one of those spin-offs of Breaking Bad. So one of the characters is using, I think it's Nikon F4 there with a very long lens there. Who else do I have? Yes, I did find Odegaard, but it doesn't work that shot. That's what it is. Oh, one of the oldies, but goodies, Planet of the Apes.
Oh, yes.
Again, this is probably Nikon, for F Photomic. Let's have a look at it together. That looks like Nikon Photomic, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's an FTN.
FTN. Seth is in the chat. He says Lydia Beats and the Beetlejuice shot Nikon.
So, what, Seth Miranda?
That's right, yeah.
Do you know, I was only thinking about you this morning, Seth, and I believe from hearing from Joe McNally this past week that you both may be coming over in the autumn, and we very much look forward to seeing you then. But is that do you think that's on the cards?
Well, let's find out. Winona Ryder as well. If you type in Winona Ryder Beetlejuice, there's a picture of her holding the Nikon camera there as well.
All right.
Again, for some reason, I can't just put this format of the image into the stream, but it is there. I like David Lynch, and who sadly passed away this year, but also in one of his shows, Twin Peaks, the original Twin Peaks, there's a character using a Nikon camera in there. Recent movie called Twisters, that was shot actually on film, as far as I know. That one also has a character who is using Nikon camera. Again, looks like a Nikon F Photomic.
Which one's this?
Well, the character's name is, so the actress' name is Kate Cooper, but let's have a look which Nikon she's using there. So Twisters, I think, came out this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, that's a Nikon F2 Photomic.
F2.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's see more of your comments here. So Nikon used, Tajer says Nikon is used in Full Metal Jacket. That's right.
Yeah.
There's quite a few recommendations here. Paul Hound says the Nikon F3T camera in the Walter Mitty has what I believe was a 400mm AFS 2.8G lens. Was never going to work because obviously it's a G lens, so it doesn't have an aperture ring being used on the camera that will require an aperture ring to work. That's as much as research goes into those movies, I guess. But it's always interesting to see when they got something right in the movie that, okay, that probably was a photographer who actually prepared for that.
Yeah.
All right, there's quite a few. But if you have more recommendations, do let us know in the comments below because it would be interesting to see. Gray, you have some things to show us today, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's a kind of been it's in April. On April the 4th this year, we lost a very dear friend of ours, Mr. Jim Brandenburg, the environmentalist, nature photographer and filmmaker, sadly passed away, and we'd been very close friends with him for a number of years. He did one of our Christmas shows at the Institute of Directors in London, and it's one of my favorites of that whole period. Jim was a fantastic photographer. And I think I may have mentioned this before. He was introduced to us by the lovely Neil Lucas, who was Sir David Attenborough's producer for many years and now does a lot of independent work. And he said, I think we were leaving the shop about midnight one night. Jim, him and myself, and Neil turned to me, he said, if you and I go walking out in the street, there might be some solitary person out there. He said, if Jim walks out, a deer will turn around the corner and come towards him. He had this magical ability. I'll just, if you're not familiar with him, I will just tell you a little bit about him. He was, for 30 years, he was a contract photographer for the National Geographic Society and a fellow of the International League of Conservation Photographers. He was awarded the Global 500 Environmental World Achievement Award, which was sponsored by the United Nations, was presented to him by the King of Sweden. He was given an honorary degree, a Doctor of Humane Letters by the University of Minnesota. 4 of his images were selected for inclusion in a collection that represents the 40 most important nature photographs of all time. And he also had a number of best-selling books, namely Chased by the Light. And
Yes.
he gave me a signed copy and a signed print. And here is a cover that he did for us. And don't know if you can see this too well, but this is an example of his remarkable work, really. And I know that in a future issue we're going to feature an article, a tribute to Jim by Neil Lucas. And on the subject of this beautiful magazine, Gillian has told me that she's going to do a bank holiday, which is what we have in the UK. Is if you subscribe to Nikon, you'll get a special gift. So if you're one of the first 5 to subscribe or resubscribe to Nikon Owner, standard or gold subscription, we'll send you a gift of an elegant first issue Nikon Owner pen. It's very distinctive black and rose gold, soft touch pen engraved with our logo in a black velvet pouch. And one of the things that you would have access to immediately is every back issue. That's over 85 issues you would get. And it's well worth taking out a subscription. We'd love to have you join us. Even though I'm the editor and do say so myself, I think it's a remarkable. We're very fortunate to have some exceptional photographers who contribute articles to us, and maybe one of these days it'll be one of yours.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us today, Gray. The people are asking us to do a similar live stream on Nikons being used in sports. So we covered some sports.
Right.
But maybe it's something for us to prepare for.
Sports and maybe space?
That's right. There's a lot of Nikon in space, actually.
Yes.
Not just Hasselblads.
No,
those are still left on the moon, those 2 cameras that they took. But there's lots of Nikons even now on the space station, as far as I know.
No, absolutely.
And there's Photo London coming up in London, obviously. I think it starts on the 14th. Yeah, we'll be going there, and I think it goes through over the weekend, and with a lot of awards like Nikon Photographer of the Year. And Nikon is, I think, the main sponsor of that festival in London. So it would be great to see you there. I think we are going on Wednesday to definitely have a look. I always enjoy there. I always buy a lot of books in there as well.
Do you?
But it's always good to see. Just, normally Richie's there, Bruno I think is going to be there. So lots of people from Nikon. It's always nice to go and say hello. I think last year I bought Martin Parr's book.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes. It's with you know him, obviously. It's he's got a I think it's a very British sense of humor.
Very British,
in a way, you know.
Very British.
But thank you everyone for joining us today. We will see you next week. Next week we will do a showcase of your hometown photography challenge. So you can still submit your imagery of your hometown, the place where you live, and it could be anything that you think represents your hometown. So it could be any type of photography. So be creative. Email us at media@graysalwaysmith.co.uk. Not a large files, something that will be suitable for 1080p live stream. So you still have time to submit. So last day is Wednesday, and we will see you next week for the showcase. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We will see you next week.
Have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.
All the best.
Bye.